The world swam for a moment before the hard press of brick met his spine. A voice, so familiar it made his bones ache, scraped past his ear. "Sebastian." It whispered a threat. "Let me catch you bothering Liam one more time. See what happens." When Leo opened his eyes, he was 17 again. Across from him, Sebastian's face was a decade younger, etched with a protective fury for someone else. This was the boy who, just last night in the life Leo remembered, had been curled around him in their bed, murmuring baby and sweetheart into his hair. Leo just watched him, a faint, knowing smirk touching his lips. "What's so funny?" Sebastian's dark eyes narrowed. The arm braced against Leo's throat, pressing harder. Leo leaned back against the cool wall, tilting his chin up to expose the line of his neck. In another lifetime, Sebastian had loved marking that spot, a silent claim. The man he'd loved found everything about him endearing. A simple smile could make his eyes soften. A frown would send him into a flurry of comfort. But 17-year-old Sebastian found every detail of Leo irritating. During high school, seeing Leo as competition for Liam's attention, he genuinely seemed to want Leo gone. The boy was all sharp edges and defiance. Even a raised eyebrow from Leo was taken as a challenge. The more Leo smiled now, the more Sebastian's anger visibly simmered. He leaned in, his gaze hard and flinty. "Sebastian, you just have to push me, don't you?" Leo could feel the heat of his breath, the rough brush of his close-cropped hair against a cheek. Looking up, Leo let the faint smile widen. "Do it, then. Come on." "Hey, what are you?" Sebastian could only stare, bewildered, as Leo rose on his toes, fisted a hand in the wrinkled cotton of his varsity jacket, and pulled him down. His lips found the prominent jut of Sebastian's Adam's apple. "You idiot," he thought, and then out of sheer frustration he bit down. Not hard, but unmistakable. Something clattered to the pavement. The cold menace on Sebastian's face froze, then shattered into pure, unadulterated shock. The quiet of the alley behind the school building held for a long minute before it was broken by a roar of furious disbelief. "Leo, are you insane?" They had known each other for over 30 years, a rivalry etched in stone since childhood. From elementary school soccer fields to university libraries, they'd been opposites, magnets repelling, constantly clashing. It took more than 2 decades for that animosity to twist and melt into something else entirely. The final 10 years of Leo's previous life had been spent in love, navigating the quiet, comforting routine of a shared home. Back when they'd first gotten together in that other life, the shift had been awkward. Decades of ingrained rivalry left them unsure how to be soft with each other. Sebastian, never one for pretty words, hadn't known how to be gentle. That first night, his gaze had just burned, his hands rough as he pulled Leo close. Damn reckless fool, Leo had thought then, and out of pure habit had shoved him away. The resulting tussle ended with a compromised bed frame. They'd fumbled like that for months, 2 puzzle pieces forced from different boxes. The real change came because of an ordinary Saturday. Leo had been at the mall to pick up a custom ring. A scene of chaos erupted. A panicked crowd, the glint of a blade. Slipping the engraved band onto his finger, he'd approached the armed man with calm hands, offering himself in exchange for 2 terrified children. He'd been lucky, escaping with only a shallow cut across his palm. Sebastian had arrived as the paramedic was finishing the bandage. He'd stormed past the police tape, his shirt rumpled, his face a terrifying mask of calm. But his eyes were red-rimmed, burning with a frantic internal fire. "Sebastian, you're here," Leo had said offhandedly, dismissing the minor injury. Sebastian had looked him over head to toe, his expression eerily still. "Leo." "Yeah." He just said Leo's name, then fell silent. Only after the medic left did he move, crushing Leo against him. His arms were bands of iron, his grip so fierce it felt like he was trying to fuse them together. "Sweetheart." The word was a low, ragged thing trembling. It was the first time he'd ever used it. Leo had been too stunned to speak for a moment, then tried a shaky joke. "Sebastian, I didn't know you scared so easy." Sebastian hadn't risen to the bait. He'd just taken Leo home after the police interview, and for the next month, he became a shadow. He helped with buttons, insisted on feeding him, carried him to the bathroom. He watched, a silent sentinel, as Leo slept. It was a calm, terrifying kind of madness. Leo, exasperated, had finally shown him the healed line on his palm. "Sebastian, it's already gone." Sebastian had just taken that hand, brought it to his lips, and pressed a kiss to the scar. At night, he'd hold Leo desperately, whispering into the dark, "Don't ever scare me like that again. I love you. I've loved you for so long." He confessed later, much later, that his pride had kept him silent until that moment of sheer terror. Hearing Leo was in danger had unraveled something fundamental in him. After that, he told Leo he loved him every night. Not just with words. They had 10 good years. 10 years of being cherished. The first night back in this younger skin, Leo couldn't sleep. The bed felt cavernous and cold without Sebastian's familiar weight. The way he'd always curl around Leo, his solid warmth seeping into every chilled space. Leo curled in on himself, knees to chest, imagining the ghost of those arms, the playful nuzzle against his neck, the sleepy litany. "Sweetheart, kiss me. I love you. I love you so much." Just as drowsiness finally crept in, his phone buzzed on the pillow. He fumbled for it. The screen's glow harsh in the dark room. A message from a friend, accompanied by a picture. Sebastian on his bike, the vibrant blue of it familiar. Perched on the back, holding lightly to his jacket, was a slender boy with a gentle smile. Sebastian was looking back at him, his expression bright and open, utterly carefree. The cold light from the phone illuminated the emptiness of the bedroom. Slowly, Leo lowered his lashes. The dream was over. Here, there was no man who had loved him relentlessly for a decade. There was only an 18-year-old who saw him as an obstacle. "Sebastian," he thought, "at 18 you were truly awful." Whether Sebastian was busy courting Liam or simply avoiding Leo after the alley incident, he vanished for several days. His absence felt deliberate. The call from Sebastian's mother came while Leo was mindlessly plowing through SAT prep books. The work was pointless now. He already had his early acceptance. "Leo, honey, we're having a barbecue tonight. Your parents are already here. Come straight over after school." "Leo, Sebastian's been missing for days. No idea where that boy is hiding. You track him down and drag him home. You're the only one who can handle him." They were rivals, yet their families were inseparable. Their mothers were best friends. Their fathers business partners who'd built a company from the ground up. The two households had been intertwined long before either boy was born. Leo hadn't yet figured out how to face this younger version of his husband, especially with the image of Sebastian and Liam on that bike lingering in his mind. However resilient he tried to be, the idea of watching the love of his life dote on someone else was a fresh wound. He'd been burying himself in study guides partly to avoid the sight. Over the phone, Mrs. Callahan affectionately called him Leo Bear. Leo felt a flush of warmth, mixed with embarrassment, and agreed. The Callahans' backyard was alive with the scent of charcoal and grilling meat. Sebastian's mother spotted him immediately, pulling him into a hug with a playful pout. "You haven't visited in ages. Do you not like me anymore?" Without thinking, Leo responded, "Mom, don't be silly." The word hung in the air. "Mrs. Callahan blinked. Across the patio, his own father and Mr. Callahan turned, identical looks of confusion on their faces. Leo closed his eyes. Damn it. A habit from another life, too ingrained to suppress. "Leo!" A basketball spun past his shoulder, a blur of orange and heat. Sebastian stood slouched in the doorway, his face a storm cloud, arms crossed over his chest. "Who are you calling Mom?" He sneered. His defiance was short-lived. His mother promptly grabbed him by the ear, demanding an apology. Leo is my boy too. He can call me whatever he likes. Watching the usually arrogant Sebastian get scolded like a misbehaving puppy was almost funny. A small laugh escaped Leo. Sebastian shot him a look, a cold, humorless twist on his lips. He didn't spare Leo another glance, turning to stalk up the stairs to his room. The laugh died in Leo's throat, the brief warmth draining away, replaced by a cold splash of reality. Right? 18-year-old Sebastian genuinely disliked him. Setting his jaw, Leo decided to finish the errand and leave. He pushed open Sebastian's bedroom door without knocking, intending to dump a stack of practice tests on whatever surface was handy and retreat. The room was empty, the shower running in the adjoining bathroom. Leo set the papers down and let his gaze wander. The room was so familiar. They'd stayed here many times after they were married. His eyes landed on the centerpiece. A large bed with a simple black and gray comforter. Sebastian's style then and now. Unbidden, a flood of memories surfaced, making his ears grow hot. Their first New Year's as a couple, the parents away on a cruise. Sebastian had spent those days in this very room, attentive and affectionate. As fireworks had painted the sky outside their window, they'd created their own quiet celebration. After a shared meal, they'd lain tangled in these sheets, Leo tracing the softened lines of Sebastian's face. Sebastian had caught his hand, pressing a kiss to his palm before murmuring, his voice rough, "Don't look at me like that, sweetheart. Not unless you mean it." Half asleep later, curled in the circle of Sebastian's arm, Leo had mumbled a question about why a teenager needed such a big bed. Sebastian's laugh had been a soft rumble. Bad memory. Who was it in middle school that used to hide under my covers every time they got in trouble? Leo had denied it, of course. All right, Sebastian had conceded, pulling him closer. It was me. I was the one sneaking into your room. The memory was a physical ache. Leo looked down, whispering to the empty room, "Sebastian, when did you actually start to love me?" In that other life, Liam had chosen a college overseas after graduation. Without his presence, the constant friction between Leo and Sebastian had slowly sparked into something else. It was a love built from proximity and time. Leo never doubted the sincerity of the love that eventually grew. But now, stripped of those specific circumstances, that shared history, would the spark even have a chance to catch? Love was a matter of chance. Even with the same people, the outcome was never guaranteed. Leo rubbed his eyes, feeling a deep weariness settle in his bones. The bathroom door opened. Sebastian emerged, a towel slung low on his hips, his hair dripping. He stopped short at the sight of the bed, his brow furrowing. "Leo, who said you could?" He cut himself off, his dark eyes flickering. His throat worked as he swallowed. Leo was curled on his side, face half buried in Sebastian's pillow, asleep. The usual confident edge of his features was smoothed away in sleep, leaving something younger and unguarded. Sebastian stood there for a long moment, something complex and unreadable moving behind his eyes. Finally, he made a sound of disgust, turned, and left the room, muttering something that sounded like, "I must be cursed." After the door clicked shut, the boy on the bed opened one eye. He breathed in the scent of Sebastian's shampoo on the pillowcase, and a small, triumphant smile curved his lips. Monday. The classroom whiteboard screamed the number of days left until graduation. Leo sat by the window, missing his 30-year-old husband with a physical pain, and retreated into the familiar territory of test prep. He hadn't gotten far before his desk mate, Marcus, hauled him upright. Marcus had been his friend since freshman year, fiercely loyal. Sebastian had once derisively called him Leo's groupie. Marcus was straightforward to a fault, eternally grateful for a single incident where Leo had stood up for him. He'd decided then that Leo was the best person he knew and deserved all the happiness in the world. Looking at Marcus's youthful face, Leo remembered. In this timeline, he'd foolishly confided a crush on Liam. The loyal friend had taken it as a mission, keeping a close watch on the rival, Sebastian, determined to be the ultimate wingman. "You can't just sit here," Marcus hissed, face flushed with urgency. Liam is practically gone." Leo just shrugged, reclaiming his pencil. Marcus leaned in closer. "Sebastian hasn't been in school for 3 days. Liam hasn't either. I heard Liam twisted his ankle. Sebastian's been staying at that clinic near campus, taking care of him. If you don't make a move, Sebastian's going to swoop in," and the pencil lead snapped, scoring a dark line across the page. Leo stared at it, a cold knot tightening in his stomach. He blinked rapidly, overwhelmed by a sudden, fierce longing for the mature, devoted man he'd known. Marcus noticed his change in demeanor and softened his tone. "Don't give up. You can still catch up." Leo took a slow breath. "Right, I'll catch up." He would give himself this one chance. He would wait for Sebastian to find him again. So Marcus ventured cautiously. "Are you going to visit Liam at the clinic?" Leo flipped his ruined scratch paper over, his voice deliberately light.
"I'm busy."
Maybe later. That evening, he found himself standing outside the small campus medical center, frowning deeply at his own feet. He swore he hadn't meant to walk here. Damn it, he thought.
"I'm busy."
His brain said retreat, but his legs had carried him here on autopilot. He was about to turn and leave, desperate to avoid a painful scene, when his luck ran out. His eyes caught on 2 figures exiting the glass doors. Sebastian, one hand under Liam's elbow, supporting him. The sight was a physical blow. A sharp crack echoed as Leo, without meaning to, stepped on and broke a fallen branch. Sebastian, the name was a whisper on his lips. He couldn't look away, his gaze locked on the point of contact between them, his own fingers curling into tight fists. Sebastian seemed to notice him then. His body stiffened. He said something to Liam, releasing his arm, and started toward Leo with long, quick strides. His expression was thunderous. "I knew it," Sebastian said, his voice icy as he looked Leo over from head to toe. "Leo, what did I tell you about staying away from Liam?" Leo's mouth felt dry. He couldn't form words. "Leo, did you come to see me?" Liam asked, approaching slowly with a gentle smile. Leo looked at him then, really looked. There was a strange sense of distance, of observing a memory. This was the boy he'd once had a crush on, soft-spoken and kind. Even now, loving Sebastian as he did, he felt no real animosity. Liam wore a simple button-down, his smile warm. Leo let out a quiet breath, forcing his shoulders to relax. "You're okay?" he asked. Liam nodded. A classic first love, Leo thought. He managed a small smile in return. Good. He was mature enough not to blame Liam for any of this. Seeing him as an old acquaintance, Leo made polite small talk, oblivious to the dark cloud gathering beside him. Sebastian finally cut in, his tone clipped. "You should go rest." He was speaking to Liam, but his glare was a pointed directed solely at Leo. "Screw you," Leo thought, meeting his gaze head-on, a defiant spark lighting his own eyes. He turned back to Liam with a deliberate smile. "Liam." "Yes? Could you give us a minute?" Liam's eyes danced between them, a flicker of amusement passing through them. He nodded and took a few steps back. "Sebastian." Leo grabbed his wrist as he tried to turn away. Sebastian shook him off impatiently. "What now?" "I want to hit you," Leo stated plainly. Before Sebastian could process it, Leo's fist connected with his jaw. It was a solid, unforgiving punch, fueled by all the confusion and hurt of the past weeks. "You stupid dog," he thought. "Your husband has had enough." After that, Leo stopped going to school. With his college plans secure, he compiled a set of comprehensive study notes and asked Mrs. Callahan to pass them to Sebastian. He kept busy, and he deliberately avoided any news about Sebastian and Liam. He fought a daily battle against jealousy, determined not to interfere. What happened in another life belonged there. He wouldn't be the one to sabotage a potential happiness for Sebastian, even if the thought of it felt like a stone in his chest. You idiot. If you end up with Liam, I'm letting you go. He would fade away, offer his blessing from a distance, and build a life that didn't include them. He stood at his window, playing with the petals of a geranium, watching the light in Sebastian's room across the way, his heart a quiet, resigned ache. The weekend before finals, he was at a downtown cafe, helping Marcus with a calculus problem. He looked up and saw them. Sebastian and Liam, settling at a table by the window. Are they together now? Marcus followed his gaze and looked ready to start a confrontation. Leo snapped back to himself, swallowing back the bitter taste in his mouth. He stood, gave Liam a polite nod, and pulled Marcus out of the shop, not daring to look back. In matters of the heart, everyone is a coward. He was no exception. Inside the cafe, Sebastian's gaze burned into their retreating backs. Liam stirred his iced tea, a soft, knowing laugh escaping him. Sebastian, has anyone ever told you? When someone gets close to Leo, you look like you want to commit murder. Graduation came and went. Leo's next encounter with Sebastian was at Liam's birthday party. Liam's voice on the phone had been soft, almost pleading. Leo, you'll come tonight, won't you? Leo had hesitated. After a crackle of static, Liam added quietly, Sebastian will be here. The words were a twist in his heart. Of course Sebastian would be there. Where? Leo asked, his voice tight. The venue was a private room in a restaurant not far from school. Leo stopped at a department store and bought a tasteful silver watch as a gift. He'd deliver it, see Sebastian one last time, and then leave. A final goodbye. He pushed open the door to the private room and froze. The space was filled with deep red roses. At the center of them stood a single figure. Oh, wrong room. Proposal. Sorry, Leo stammered, starting to back out. My mistake. Leo, you made it. It was Marcus, beaming. Before Leo could react, Marcus pushed him fully into the room and thrust a massive bouquet of roses into his arms. He gave Leo an exaggerated wink and pulled the door shut. I did some digging. Liam and Sebastian aren't a thing. Go get him. A spotlight flicked on, pinning Leo in its circle. Another light illuminated the figure standing in the floral sea, who turned around. It was Liam. He was dressed in white, smiling directly at Leo. A sense of dreadful familiarity washed over Leo. The disconnected pieces in his mind suddenly snapped together. He remembered now. A month ago, in a fit of misplaced teenage determination, he'd enlisted Marcus's help to plan this. A grand romantic gesture for Liam's birthday. I did this. This ridiculous scene is my fault. Liam began walking toward him. Leo's palms grew damp against the cellophane wrapping the stems. He took an involuntary step back. Wait, this isn't... I can explain. Liam didn't let him finish. He moved forward and wrapped his arms around Leo in a firm hug. Leo stiffened, caught off guard by the strength in Liam's slender frame. Leo, Liam murmured near his ear, his voice warm. I like you. Leo was speechless. Liam, it was strange. In his memory, Liam had gently refused him. Before he could process it or push away, Liam's lips brushed his cheek, featherlight. Leo's eyes widened, heat flooding his face. He brought his hands up, covering the spot. He kissed me. He can't just... Liam chuckled softly, leaning in again. You're adorable when you're flustered. Liam, I'm sorry, I don't... Leo was stammering, utterly disoriented. Shoo. Liam's smile was gentle. It's okay. We can still be friends. Dazed, Leo's gaze drifted over Liam's shoulder. There, leaning against the wall of roses, was Sebastian. His eyes were black ice, fixed on Leo, utterly devoid of warmth. There it was again. The man he would love, currently seething with jealousy over the boy he loved. The irony was a bitter pill. That night, Leo drank. He lost count of the glasses, the world softening and blurring at the edges. Marcus asked him if his mission had been successful. Leo, cheeks flushed, his gaze fixed on Sebastian across the crowded room, shook his head miserably. No, didn't work. Through the haze, he saw Sebastian and Liam standing close together, heads inclined as if sharing a secret. A hot, irrational anger surged through the alcohol fog. "That's my husband." He stumbled to his feet, swaying. "Sebastian," he called out, his voice louder than intended. Sebastian turned. His eyes held a dark, complicated emotion for a split second before he deliberately looked away. Leo's lower lip trembled. Why is he ignoring me? The thought was a child's wounded confusion. He staggered forward until he was right in front of Sebastian, then looped his arms around his neck, clinging. "Honey," he slurred, the endearment sticky and intimate. The room's chatter died. All eyes turned to them. Marcus looked like he'd been turned to stone. Leo, oblivious, nuzzled into the familiar curve of Sebastian's neck, inhaling the scent of him, planting soft, persistent kisses against his skin. He felt the rigid tension in the body beneath his hands. Sebastian's hand came up, fingers digging into the nape of Leo's neck to force his head back. His voice was shards of glass. "Leo, what did you call me?" Leo went willingly, tilting his head back to expose his throat. His eyes glazed and bright. He leaned in, his breath ghosting over Sebastian's ear. "Honey, it's dark. Take me home." Sebastian made a choked sound, his grip tightening almost painfully. Liam's expression remained placid. "He's had too much. I'll get him a cab." But Sebastian pulled Leo tighter against him, a clear, possessive gesture. "He's my problem. I'll deal with it." He half-carried, half-dragged Leo to his car and then to the familiar house. Under the startled gaze of Leo's parents, he maneuvered him upstairs and into his childhood bedroom, depositing him unceremoniously on the bed. As Sebastian turned to leave, Leo rolled over, propping himself up on an elbow. "Aren't you staying?" Sebastian took a long, controlled breath, his fists clenching and unclenching at his sides. Leo patted the space beside him, his words slurring together. "Come here. Need a kiss. Always kiss goodnight." Sebastian remained a silent statue in the shadows. Leo frowned, confused. The Sebastian he knew was never this hesitant. What's his problem? Annoyed, he slid off the bed, bare feet hitting the floor, and walked unsteadily to him, burying his face against Sebastian's chest. Something in Sebastian seemed to snap. A low growl escaped him as he spun them around, pinning Leo to the mattress, his hands locking around Leo's wrists above his head. Leo blinked up at him, finally seeing the fire that had ignited in his eyes. Sebastian hovered over him, his throat working. "Leo, do you want me?" Leo shook his head slowly. "No." Sebastian flinched, the fire blazing hotter. Leo looked up through his lashes, his voice softening to a whisper. "I love you. Sebastian, your Leo loves you." A long moment passed. "You're drunk?" Sebastian finally rasped. "Is this a game?" He was talking too much. Leo tried to kiss him, but Sebastian turned his head away. His fingers traced Leo's jawline, a touch that sparked shivers. His breathing was ragged. "Leo, fine. You win. Whatever you want, it's yours. Just stop playing with me." The last words were gritted out, desperate. Leo answered with action, his body arching slightly in invitation. When Sebastian still hesitated, a flicker of impatience cut through the drunken haze. After 10 years together, this shyness was absurd. A thought formed and tumbled out. "Sebastian, are you unable to?" Sebastian cursed violently, his hand tightening on Leo's chin. "You were with Liam tonight. You told him you loved him. Are you with him now?" "No." Leo was losing interest, the alcohol and frustration taking their toll. He nudged Sebastian with his knee. "Stop stalling. Do something." Another curse, And then Sebastian was kissing him. A torrent of pent-up hunger that swept everything else away. The room dissolved into sensation. They didn't go all the way. But by the time Leo's consciousness faded, he was thoroughly marked, his skin singing. His last coherent thought was a grim resignation. Damn it. He really does have a problem. Can I even keep this husband? Morning came with a throbbing head and an empty space beside him. Leo stood on shaky legs, confronted by the vivid evidence in his bathroom mirror. He traced a particularly dark bruise on his collarbone and let out a soft, incredulous laugh. Total animal. Then he smiled, a real one, tilting his head. That idiot. He must have felt something even then. His Sebastian, if he truly felt nothing, would never have laid a hand on him. Leo remembered a time, years in the future, when Sebastian had been drugged at a business function. He'd locked himself in a room and thrown out anyone who came near, waiting for Leo, suffering through it. That man had immense control. The boy last night had had none. His phone buzzed on the sink. Sebastian, was I your first? Leo snorted, typing back immediately. Of course not. You were pretty mediocre. Less than a minute later, the window by his fire escape rattled. Sebastian climbed in, his hair wild, his eyes stormy. He crossed the room and caught Leo by the shoulders. How many others have there been? Leo's face darkened. He slapped him, the sound sharp in the quiet room. Sebastian just stared, a lock of dark hair falling over his forehead. He looked young and fierce. You're not backing out. We're together now. You jerk. Leo took a deep, steadying breath, then swung. They tumbled to the floor in a tangle of limbs, a familiar, frantic wrestling match. Jerk. Jerk. Sebastian stopped fighting back, letting Leo's blows land, his body tense but accepting. Then his expression shifted to alarm. Leo, what's wrong?
I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm sorry, please, don't cry. Leo only realized he was crying when he felt the wet heat on his own face. He rarely cried, never in front of anyone. Sebastian, who had likely never seen him like this, seemed to panic, his muscles locking. He fumbled, repeating useless apologies. All the unresolved hurt about Liam, a thorn he'd carried even in their happy future, surfaced. Sebastian had always dodged those questions with a kiss. Leo wiped his face with the back of his hand, his voice hoarse but certain. Sebastian, you're in love with me. The same accusation he'd faced last night. Sebastian's head jerked up, his ears turning pink. If you love me, why couldn't you say it? Leo's voice broke. He hit him again, then sank his teeth into Sebastian's shoulder in sheer frustration. You idiot. Do you have any idea? Do you know how hard it's been? I almost let you go. I almost walked away for good. The tears fell in earnest now, a release of weeks of pent-up loneliness and fear. Sebastian gathered him close, wordlessly using his thumbs to wipe the tears away. After a long silence, he spoke, his voice rough. Leo, you're wrecking me. The reckoning came later. Leo sat propped against the headboard while Sebastian knelt on the floor, gently massaging a sore calf. Weren't you going to teach me a lesson for Liam? Weren't you going to end me? Wasn't Liam the most precious person to you? Cat got your tongue? With each question, Leo gave a light kick. Sebastian was soon flushed, sweating from the effort of staying still. He finally caught Leo's ankle, his gaze locking with Leo's. Leo, you said all those things to me first. Don't you remember? Leo paused. What? A faded memory stirred. 3 years ago, in middle school, there had been a tense standoff over a girl. Leo could barely recall her face, only that she'd given him a note, and Sebastian had started picking on her. Young and righteous, Leo had stepped in, issuing Leave her alone. Stay away from her. Let me catch you bothering her again. I'll make you regret it. Leo was baffled. That was different. I liked Liam. You were bullying that girl. When he said I liked Liam, the hands on his leg tightened. Sebastian looked down, his face half in shadow. It wasn't different. I went to talk to her, because I wanted her to give a message to someone for me. He paused, his gaze darkening. The note she gave you, I wrote it. Leo stared, speechless. You'd already written me off once because of someone else, Sebastian continued, his voice low. Liam wasn't special. What was special was that you liked him. You saw him. You never saw me. You never liked me. I didn't know how to fix it. I thought, if I couldn't have your attention any other way, at least I could have your anger. Getting punched by you was better than being ignored. Leo's mouth opened, then closed. What kind of logic is that? It explained a lot about his teenage academic struggles. The only way you'd ever look at me was if I was near him. After a moment, Leo calmly picked up his phone and found the damning bike photo. Explain this. Sebastian glanced at it. It said, I've never let anyone but you on that bike. Liam was trying to get a reaction from you. He's not as innocent as you think. I wasn't at the clinic taking care of him. I followed you there that day. I was worried about you. He took a ragged breath. You still want Liam, don't you? He looked away, his voice gravelly with defeat. Fine. If this is all some elaborate game to humiliate me, I'll take it.
Leo, I'm sorry.
He stood up, turning to leave. Leo watched him for a long moment, a profound sense of exasperation washing over him. All this pain over a series of monumental misunderstandings. Sebastian, he said finally, you are the most clueless person I've ever met. Sebastian nodded a dull acceptance. Yeah. He was almost at the door when Leo's voice stopped him. Sebastian. He turned. Leo looked at him, a slow, genuine smile beginning to touch his lips. He rested his chin on his folded hands. Come and court me. Do it properly. Just once. Well, he'd chosen this foolish dog. He would have to be the one to train him. Sebastian stood perfectly still for a heartbeat. Then he turned fully, his eyes finding Leo's, the bleakness in them clearing, replaced by a dawning, cautious hope. The breeze from the window lifted the curtain. The morning sun was warm and bright,